Hey everybody, before we get into the video, I just want to remind y'all to like, subscribe, and share. Thank you. Hey everybody, welcome to the Unscripted Hour. Today we have Mel. This is a real special guest. This person has been real close in my life since I was a child, helped with my development, was real close in the community, real big in the family. I love this girl to death. So today we have Mel. Mel, let's tell the world about you.
Awesome. Well, Johnson, first and foremost, thank you for having me on your podcast. I just love the concept. I love the idea. And, by any means, I will support you 110%. But first and foremost, you said I know you as a child. You're going to stop making me feel like I'm a dinosaur. I'm not that old. Graduated from Lincoln University, the first HBCU, and I had to put emphasis on that because it's always this Lincoln Cheney beef in Pennsylvania, like which one was the first historically black college and university. But I just want to put it on air for anybody who's watching this, whether you're young or experienced, that Lincoln University, founded in 1854, was the first university to graduate people with college degrees. People like Thurgood Marshall were some of the first. Kwame Nkrumah, who was the president of Ghana, was one of the first people to graduate from Lincoln. So just wanted to start by saying, Lincoln was the first. As you can see, I'm really proud to be a Lincolnite. Mayor Sherelle Parker is also a graduate of Lincoln University. So if anybody's watching this and considering college, look at Lincoln, visit the campus. It may change your life. It sure did change mine. So when I graduated in 26, I came to Gideon as an after school program coordinator under AmeriCorps. It was my first real job after graduating college. I had graduated with an education degree from Lincoln, an English education degree with a minor in Spanish. And so my goal was to become an English high school teacher.
Lincoln University is sounding pretty good. I'm gonna need y'all to check that out. Check the facts. Let's get back to the video.
During my student teaching, I had taught two 11th grade classes at actually my alma mater, the high school that I graduated from, Bach. So you go to Bach, you be okay. But Bach is no longer a school, it's now a restaurant. So I guess everybody who graduated from Bach is okay. But when I student taught there, I had two 11th grade classes. And by the end of the semester, one of my students was murdered. He was an 11th grade student, so full of potential. He was murdered. And you can imagine, I was fresh out of college. And so that really, it devastated me. I didn't know how to respond to that. I felt like I wasn't prepared to deal with that long term. And, so I made a decision to do something a little less focused. And so I found the after school setting only to find that it will open up a world of like just possible endless possibilities of what I can do with children and youth. And so since 2006 until now, that's all I've been doing, working on the behalf of children and youth in the city of Philadelphia and the surrounding counties in the out of school time setting and after school setting. So
So
say
quick,
all go ahead. What question you have?
been in the field for a long time. Like I said, you've been doing it a little bit before I think we met, and I was pretty young, and you're still doing it. Is it a different with the kids nowadays, or is it the same?
So that's an interesting question. Let me just say times has changed. And I think that children are a mirror to society. And I say that in all honesty. Like I just think that children are the mirror of society. You want to know what's going on in someone's home, you look at the children. And so anytime that you see a child showing up, they're mild mannered, they're respectful. You meet their parents, 9 times out of 10, their parents are mild mannered and respectful. You meet a child who's always cussing and into stuff and just, very busy. Because I don't believe that it's a bad child. I just think that there's a child who's finding themselves and sometimes they're misunderstood and not heard.
Y'all, so I know Mel is saying some great stuff right now, but I just want to pause for a brief second and remind y'all to hit that like, subscribe, share, and hit the bell. Appreciate y'all.
When you look at children, I say it's a mirror to society. And I believe that all children, their first classroom, first is their mother's womb, but secondly is their home, right? And so children are different than they were back then in 2006. And we're talking about almost 2 decades, mainly because society has changed. Good, bad, or indifferent, society has changed. One thing that I can say about the youth today that they are super resilient, right? I think that any child today who's given an opportunity to just succeed and do something with their lives, they're gonna blow it out the water. They just gonna be the best at it because they are so resilient and determined, right? They're surviving some of the most treacherous times, I think, in the history of America. I mean, you think about our leadership, you think about our religion and the way things are going, you think about even just the day-to-day living and the poverty levels that's surrounding us. We look like a third world country if you really take a look at what's happening. And so when
Good
you ask
question.
the question about children and how they change, I say, yeah, because society has changed. It's different. But what I can say too,
Would you put it on technology or would you put it on the parents?
that's a good question. So I think it's both, right? I think that technology has a positive impact in our world if used correctly, if used responsibly, but it's also a tool that helps us to, just be innovative and stay ahead of, the industry and just like innovative new things that's happening. I don't really know how to say that, but let me just say that I think that technology is a good thing, but if it's not used or taught appropriately, it can definitely be a negative influence in a child's life. Now, with that being said, I do think that parents should be aware of like how students are engaging in technology and, definitely help them to encourage them to learn all the tools that technology offers. So for example, like we're using Zoom to record this podcast tonight. Some of our children know how to navigate these systems. Their parents don't, right? And so you really want to ensure that like parents are caught up to speed and on the same page with their children who are engaging in technology. And so when you think about like even with children who are acting out, who constantly get in trouble, the first thing their parents want to do is snatch the technology away from them. And honestly, I've witnessed that have a reverse effect on kids because at this point, a lot of the kids don't know how to function or cannot function properly without having access to that technology. They literally go through withdrawal when you snatch their technology from them if you really pay attention. And so I just think that with all things, like it just needs to be some moderation, some limitation, and just like observation of what's happening with the use of technology.
Yeah, exactly. Like when I think about it, I think it's kind of both. Especially where I kind of blame, my generation a little bit before late 80s throughout the 90s. We're just a different breed with, I think, raising our kids. I think we want to spoil our kids more than what we had. And I think that's the
Oh, for
problem.
sure. For sure. I mean, I think that that's most parents' first approach to their children, right? Is that they want their children to have more than they had. They want their children to experience more than they did. They want their children to be better than they, were when they were growing up. And that's not wrong. It's not wrong to want more for your children. What I'm suggesting is that as we are bearing our children, that we think about the balance that children need, right? And it's nurturing and discipline, right? It's being able to give them what they need, let them earn what they want, and just have that balance. Like they can't always just get what they want. They have to earn it. I mean, that's what I was taught, and I'm only a few generations older than you. I'm not gonna we're not gonna keep into this generation thing, but let me just own it. All right. So I'm a few generations older than you. And my mom raised me as the only child. My mom's the only child. My dad had at least 10 other children who I'm the first of, right? But since 12 years old, I was working. So although I was the only child, people thought, you spoiled, you had everything. Well, I did because my mom made sure I did. And, my mom was like 21 when she had me. So we pretty much grew up together, honestly. And so we're sisters. But at 12 years old, my mom had me working. So I was working at the corner store, earning my own money, being able to pay for my own sneakers or whatever the latest technology out was out there. And that was like beepers and Nextel, right? So if I wanted to have the latest beeper that glowed in the dark or, lit up when someone beeps you, or that Nextel phone that you could chirp people, I had to pay for it, she made me work for it. That was the one. But as far as all my needs, yeah, my mom worked to make sure I had my needs. And I think that a lot of parents miss that. They just want to give and not make their children work for it, honestly.
Yeah, but that was good though. And honestly, I believe your mom raised you right because we became family, so I met your mom. To see your mom is there, we have great times out and everything. So
Yeah.
like,
Yeah, I appreciate that. Like my mom did raise me right, but at the end of the day, I think that for an individual to be successful, it really boils down to the choices you make as an individual. First and foremost, I'd be remiss if I wouldn't say that, I believe that God has like lined things up so perfectly for me to choose the right or the left. And anytime that I chose left, I felt that it was hard. I end up getting in trouble or having to like go through some growing pains. And so I always just want to be in alignment to what God says and choose right. And so I give credit to my mom because she definitely worked hard to make sure that I had what I need as a child, and instilled a lot of discipline in me. And when I say a lot of discipline, anytime that I chose to go left as a child, she sure that I willed it back in and did right. Like I got beatings when I was a kid, and I think that's another thing that's missing. Like, not saying I'm not promoting go out and beat your kids, but there is a fine line between discipline, teaching lessons, and then just not allowing children to feel that sting. Like I remember last week and I got as a child, and when she pulled out them two belts, I'm like, okay, this thing got serious. Let me just
now I
choose to do the right thing most of the time, especially when she's watching, because
got
I'm not trying to keep experiencing that. So yeah, that discipline is important. Like I said, I'm not promoting beating our kids, but there needs to be a fine line between discipline and just not letting your child be freestyling and learn all willy nilly. Like you have to talk your kids through the lessons that they experience. And so that's why I commit myself to the after school program, because we really do get the opportunity to sit with kids one on one and just talk to them about what they are experiencing in life with their peers, set goals for the future, expose them to things that they wouldn't necessarily get in school. So like we make it our business to take kids to like the African American Museum. We make sure that they go to Harrisburg and see the Capitol and know like these are the places where people are making decisions that impact your life, impact your household, and impact your community. And so, yeah, I love the work that I do, and I feel like that was a calling for my life because I just think about how I ended up in this space. Yes, it started after I graduated college, but honestly, I think about the Philadelphia Freedom Schools. It was an out of school time program that was that was an Afrocentric program, which it still is around today. But when I was in 11th grade, I started to go down the wrong path and do things in school and get in trouble, hanging out with my peers, and my mom said, "Hey, you need to do something for the summer." So she found the program, the Philadelphia Freedom Schools, and I did that application and got accepted. And that program honestly saved my life because one, it taught myself and 500 youth in the city of Philadelphia about just like respecting yourself, knowing who you are, knowing where you come from, respecting your community. And that's something that stuck with me, even like as an 11th grader, as a 15-year-old. Like some of my best friends are people that I met in that program. And so that inspired me to keep providing high quality enrichment opportunities for children, youth, and teens in the after school setting. Because that 3 to 6 hour is important, right? After kids are out of school, what do? They go hang out with their friends on the corner, in the playground, or somewhere. And if they are in the inner city, 9 times out of 10, they're going to experience some form of violence or be exposed to some form of unhealthy, unproductive opportunities that may literally change their life, the trajectory of their lives for the worse. And so every day after school, I feel good because I know that 500 children are in care of individuals that I train, that I handpicked to serve them. And so, yeah, I'm encouraged by that. I just wanted to say that. I went off on a tangent. You didn't ask me none of that, but I hope that was helpful to anybody listening.
Here today, I remember all of that. Like I said, connected with me. I remember being in after school those days. You know,
Playing basketball on the court.
connecting with all the after school teachers and stuff like that. It was
Yeah, for sure. The after school teacher, and don't forget the front door monitor slash security officer, who was no other than Evelyn Ellison, right? So your mom, my godmom, my family, Miss Evelyn has impacted me in such a significant way. Like I'm in debt to her. She's my mom. Like she's my second mom. My mom knows that. She has accepted, and that's what it is. Anytime that Miss Evelyn called me, I'm coming. Anytime she needs me, I come in. Because when I came to Gideon, although I am from North Philadelphia, like not too far from where Gideon is, it's just a different North Philly. You go over 2 blocks, you in a different community, you in a different hood. So I'm coming from a different hood on the bus, all geeky, fresh out of college. And so Miss Evelyn embraced me, and I just remember my first day on the job, got an application from a student. His name was Christopher Watts, and he was too old to be in my after school program. And I said, I gotta call his parent and tell her her son can't be in my program. He's too old. And so I called in. Miss Evelyn answered. I'm like, hi, Miss. Miss Melvina. I'm calling from the after school program, calling to let you know I got your son's application. I said, Joshua Watts is good, but Chris Ross is too old. Unfortunately, he just graduated. And he can't be in my program. She said, oh, I'll be down there. I'm coming down there. I know where you at. My son gonna be in the program. So she fought and advocated for Chris to get into that program. I had to say yes. And Miss Evelyn has became my advocate. She made sure that I had all my paperwork in order, that I had everything I need to successfully run the after school program. And back then, the program was large. We had 100 kids enrolled. So you don't know, Josh, you were one of 100 kids enrolled in that program, and you guys participated in, curriculum called Get Real About Violence. Like I facilitated that, just talking about like good choices and like just being aware of how violence impact not only you but your household and the community. You guys played basketball. Y'all had an intramural basketball program at the time where y'all would play other middle school sites. So y'all played kids from like Brindles and what's the other middle school? I can't. Lord, Duckery. So like y'all would travel around and play each other. And y'all just stayed out of trouble because y'all was looking forward to it. Anytime that y'all any of the boys that got in trouble, they would get put out of the program or have to get suspended, and they didn't like that. So they came to the program and they showed up, and they were positive, they were focused, and it just was a good time. And so I believe that we still have programs like that in the city that are impacting youth. And just shout out to all the after school and all the educators out here in Philly who's making an impact. Because honestly, the work that we do on a daily basis matters. And the fact that, back then you were like 11 years old, 12 years old, and you still remember that means that I did a good job. And so I'm encouraged to be here just to be able to reflect on that with you. Real talk.
You did an awesome job, Mel.
Thank you.
Did an awesome job.
That's it. You don't want to talk about nothing else? I mean, I got some material for days. Drinking my water, wishing it was one, but I'm here.
We can talk about whatever, man. How's your day today, actually?
That is so powerful. So you don't even know. Like, as a senior director of an out of school time program, I get to supervise, mentor, coach 65 adults. Like 65 people report to me. So they have like the site directors, which it's 6 of them, but under them they have teams. But anytime anybody on that team, they can call me. I know all my staff members by their first name, their personal situation. I just know them all. So they can text me, call me, whatever, anytime. And so, because I'm caring for so many people all the time, like I'm a caregiver for my mom and for my granny who's aging, nobody never really asked me, how was your day? So, when somebody does, like I sit and I really take that in. And I can honestly say that I feel good. Like I'm blessed. I woke up today, all my needs and wants were met today. I was able to come home to cook a hot meal for my family. I'm ready to take it down. So I had a great day.
I
Thank
mean,
you for asking.
you just never know how somebody feels. and I take it like how I would feel. I work in customer service.
Yep.
So, a lot of times my job is to ask, "How's you doing? Hey, how's you doing? How you?
Yeah.
Hey, how you doing? What can I get to? Hey, how you doing?" So to get that, or I'm doing good. How about you? Because most times customers are really nasty.
Yes. Absolutely.
They can be nasty. So to like really get that genuine, how are you doing? Like genuine, like they want to know how are you doing. It makes you feel good. Some days, sometimes it will make me feel good, and I might offer a customer something because they made my day. You just don't know what you're going.
Awesome. You hear that, right, customer? So you see Josh and you say he looks familiar, and you realize where he work at. Just know if you ask him how his day is going, genuinely, you may get something for free. That's what I'm hearing.
You might.
You might. All right, but no, seriously, Josh. So on that note, how are you doing? I mean, you
Uh,
out here doing your thing. You in school. You started your podcast. I'm so proud of you. You're a father.
thank you.
Yeah.
I'm just trying. I'm just really trying. I'm trying to see where this podcast go. Like you said, I'm in school. I'm doing my school thing, going to school for business analyst and management. So trying to see where that might take me. While doing that, I had a digital communication class where I learned some things, and on YouTube now, I'm trying to see where that might
Yes.
take me. So
Yes, you're taking it serious. So listen, if you invest in yourself, it will pay off, brother. So just keep investing in yourself.
it's
Learn and apply. And you doing it, right? So you learned something. You done already had a couple podcasts, and I appreciate you for inviting me on. I mean, I'm just an old lady out here trying to make it too. And so anytime you ask me my opinion, I'm gonna talk for hours. So I appreciate you
definitely.
having me on. You said what you say? I was talking a lot.
You could definitely talk for hours, but you are right.
I'm cracking up. Don't listen. We can get into the bloopers. I can make this turn into a comedy show if you want to. Now you know I got my funny side. It only comes out when I feel comfortable. And Josh, you always make people feel comfortable. So that's one personality trait that is going to take you a long way. So you're investing in yourself. Keep that up. Keep your positive personality going. Just making people feel comfortable, making people feel heard. And the sky is beyond the limit, right? They say shoot for the moon and you end up amongst the stars.
I like that. All right. Well, anything else you want to talk about before
I mean, just depending on who your audience is, and as time will develop, I know that you will start to reach more and more people, and so that's a great thing. So one of the things that I feel like is a must that we need to talk about, and I know this is a touchy topic for you, John. So I will be remiss if I didn't bring it up, and it's this topic around just grief and loss of loved ones, right? Because I think in 2020, for me, it was one of the hardest years of my life, and I'm only a couple decades older than you, as we already established, right? And 20, I lost my father, and so for the last like 6 years, I've just been going through this healing phase. And what I do know, creating a platform like this is going to be a place of healing, not only for you, but for anybody you invite on. And so don't be afraid to like ask the hard questions and go there and have these tough conversations because you don't know how that can literally just liberate somebody and set them free or just make it easier to cope with the day to day. So once again, I commend you. I just wanted to bring that up and just consider that as a topic of discussion for your podcast as you are just observing and speaking honestly. All right.
I like that. So I appreciate you here. I appreciate everybody that tuned in today. This was a pleasure having you here, Mel. Like it was.
Well, you called me Mel, so I gotta go there. I literally just started my LLC this year, and so I'm developing it. But it is called Mel's Take LLC, right? So it's gonna be a professional development LLC that is meant to just like help any individual on their journey to professionalism, to entrepreneurship, wherever it may be. So Mel's Take, more education and love. Mel's Take.
I like that. So would you like to elaborate that on that now, or would you like to talk
We
more?
can we can talk more about it
Yeah,
later on, all right?
thanks.
But just Mel's Tate, LLC, okay?
I like that.
More education and love.
Tuning in on the Unscripted Hour.
Yeah, thank you for having me for this impromptu conversation. But like I said, I hope I said something that's inspiring not only to you, but for any of your listeners, whether they're young or seasoned.
Yes, I want to remind everybody to like, subscribe, hit that bell,
Share.
share all of that. Please
And
hit
if you comment, be nice. Talk to us nicely now. If you comment.
real nicely. Well, tune in to the next episode of the Unscripted Hour. It was